Buckle up, kids. We're about to talk about something that is a hot button topic right now. I guess Hasan pissed off the internet over the weekend. I didn't even see this like anywhere, but he basically said that streaming is way harder than a real job. And I'm just going to put my 2 cents out there because I do feel like a lot of what he said was misconstrued, but at the same token, he kept digging himself a hole. And instead of just stopping and shutting up and just changing the topic altogether, he just kept digging and digging and digging. Um, a little bit about my background, right? Because I've been doing this whole YouTube thing for what, a year and a half now. As a kid, I used to work on farms. I worked retail when I got off of the farms when I was like 16. As soon as I turned 18, 19, I said, screw it. I got talked into bigger and better things. I joined the military. I went active duty with the Navy for almost 10 and a half years. I got out, and then now I work as an air traffic controller. But right now, I'm actually in between jobs, and I've been a full time content creator for the last month because I'm waiting to start my new job. So if you guys didn't know, I've done a little bit of everything. I've done a lot of blue collar, I've done retail, I've active duty, and like I said, a white collar job. And now streaming. So I have hit every single wicket that you can hit when it comes to jobs. And let me tell you, when it comes down to it, you can't compare a blue collar job to a retail job to a white collar job to streaming. They all have their different things. They all have their different stressors. I will tell you when it comes to streaming, like I tell everybody, because there is a question I get asked all the time, and that is, what got me into streaming? Like, how long have I been streaming? So a little background about my streaming was first time I ever went live was 2016. I was still active duty at the time, so of course I could not work full time, get any kind of like actual schedule going on. So part time, part time, part time. Um, Now the pandemic hit. I messed up my legs real bad, so I had a lot of time on my hands. So I learned how to build computers and just all kinds of stuff, which kind of since I was limited due to the fact that my legs were messed up, I started messing around with cameras. I started messing around with editing. I started messing around with OBS. So ultimately, when I started the job I just left, that's what got me into doing YouTube. And that's what got me into really thinking about like making a push and trying my damnedest when it comes to YouTube. And me, I always tell people when they're like, what should I do? I'm going to tell you, if you're looking to get into this space, it's like any other job. Learn how to set up the lighting. Learn how to set up your cameras. Learn how to work OBS. Learn how to edit on whatever software you decide that you're going to use to edit, whether it's DaVinci, whether it's Sony Vegas. I don't care. But learn the tools of the trade so that as you are progressing as a streamer, you can fix stuff as you go. It's just like any other job. But with Hasan, like I said, he kept digging his hole. And I think that he basically, a lot of it is him being sarcastic. But of course, with how polarizing this man is, people are going to take that out of context, whether he's being sarcastic or not. I do watch Hasan because he has a vastly different mindset and points of view of stuff than I do. I find him to be very entertaining. He talks a lot about this social value in this like 2 minute clip that we're going to look at. And in his world, because he's a political commentator, I do see how him being live for 9.5 hours could be more taxing than working retail or stuff like that, because he's constantly on, constantly interacting, and constantly like going through and reading chat. And that's one thing that is very difficult. Like I said, streaming's an art form, is you have to be able to balance your gameplay or react, because he reacts to a lot of stuff. He doesn't really play much, to reading chat, to actually interacting with chat. Because like I tell everybody, with me, it's much easier for me to interact with chat because I average between 5 to 8 people in a stream at a time, where Hasan will have 20, 30,000 in stream and you're just watching it roll, watching it roll. Like I said, it's vastly different. So let's get into this clip. Let's watch it. Let's hear what he has to say. By the way, I pulled this from Gamer Update because Jake Sucky, whatever, cherry picked like whatever clip he wanted, and we're gonna listen to it because this is one of the ones that's like went viral.
Okay, I promise. But the issue is, after 9 hours and 30 minutes of streaming, like high intensity, I am not a fun-loving person. At that point, I'm just like, I'm so tired. Like, the life has been stripped from me. Now you know how it is with real jobs feel. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I used to have a real fucking job and I was infinitely more social, because this is the one area where I absolutely will disagree with you on. Yes, a real job can be gruesome, a real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same...
That is one thing I do disagree with, is working retail will suck the soul out of you. You will I remember I had one boss that I lived in the woods when I was in Virginia, and we just had 3 foot of snow dumped on us, and I lived 10, 15 miles from the store. There was no way in hell I was going to be able to get in my car and get there. And like, mind you, it had just dumped. And she was like, "You need to get here now. No ifs, ands, or buts. Otherwise, you'll be fired." And it was like that a lot when it came to retail. It was like, you have to be here. You're going to be fired. You have to do this. You have to do that. And like, streaming is vastly different than that, because like I said, you can't compare apples and oranges. You set your own schedule. You can hit that go live button whenever you want. With him, he can tell his editors he wants 4 videos, 5 videos posted to the YouTube. I want it about this topic I discussed, and it's vastly different. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to streaming and content creation, especially, it can be very stressful because you're constantly looking at the analytics. You're looking at your engagements. You're looking at how many subscribers that you've added to your YouTube for the day, or followers, or Twitch Primes, or the subscribers over on Twitch, and be like, man, like, my numbers are down. And that can be a very stressful thing. And I will admit, like, doing this for the last month, basically full time, it's a lot of fun, but it feels like I can never turn off, because like, even when I turn off the stream, or if I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, I'm constantly like, man, what should I do for tomorrow? Or what should I do for this? What should I do for that? Here, I'm going to watch a couple YouTube videos just to see what's being talked about on the interwebs, and see what's trending that you could potentially talk about like this the next day or the same day. Like I said, I watched this on my couch while I was eating breakfast, and I was like, this is a really good topic to talk about. All right, we're continuing.
Way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will. Like, that's the difference. Like, no. Social battery wise, unless you're in fucking retail, it's very different. You're out of touch with them. I'm gonna die, dude. There's motherfuckers who are accountants in here, and they're
This right here is the part where he's like, yo, they're going to misconstrue this, which 100% they will, because you're so polarizing. Like I said, I enjoy watching him because he has a vastly, and I mean vastly different, like, points of view than I do. And it is at this point that he knew, no matter what he says, it's not going to end good for him. He's going to get slammed some way or another.
Understanding what I'm saying. A real job does not expend your social battery in the same fucking way as someone who did a sales job, a real job, okay? I'm telling you, as someone who did both, 9 hours of constant performance and people pleasing taps you out from social scenarios. After 9 hours of that,
And I will admit, like me being a significantly smaller streamer and even dealing with 5 to 8 people and dealing with the people that are coming in and out on TikTok, it can be very difficult and it can be very taxing because like you'll have people coming in that are trolls. You'll have the people that come in like, dance for me, monkey, dance. And like the parasocial aspect, and then on top of that, people not thinking about how you're a person and how you have feelings sometimes does get to you. Because I ain't gonna lie, yesterday I yelled at one of the people that comes into my chat that trolls, and he's like, "Dance for me, monkey," and it kind of started tilting me. And you know, sometimes especially like dealing with people in your chat, like this is a perfect example right here. It is hard to not let it get to you. And sometimes, like I always tell people, especially that come into my stream, they're like how do you deal with negative comments? And the truth is negative comments are hard to deal with, but sometimes you gotta let it roll off your back. Like I said, you just gotta let it roll off your back. The comments that get to me the most are the positive ones. There's been twice since I started this a year and a half ago where I've seen a positive comment. It made me shed a tear real quick because it's like, damn, I actually touched somebody and, you know, it made their day. Or, you know, sharing just the little sliver that you guys see of me, whether I'm playing with the dogs or whether I'm walking the dogs or whether I'm sitting here playing games or if I'm opening Pokemon cards, it doesn't matter. Just sharing that little piece of my day, if it can make somebody's day just that much brighter, my day has been made. What I set out to do, I did it. And it's things like that. And like I said, with him right now, I like Hasan. The problem is he's letting these trolls get to him, and instead of just changing the subject and moving on, he's like, I have to explain it. Why? Because he's a political commentator.
I could probably do fucking physical labor. It would not bother me. But I can't fucking do more social shit. That's my point.
And I think for me, the part where
Shut up, Jake. But that's the hardest part, is dealing with people like that will troll you. And I think that he let it get to him too much, to the point where this is why he's talking about it. And I think it's definitely comparing apples to oranges. I feel like when you get into a situation like that, just let it go. Just let it go, man. Like, just you don't, because like I've told people in my chat, they're like, let's do this, let's do that. I don't owe you anything. And I don't have to do anything you say. And I don't have to explain why I'm doing certain things. Just sit down, relax, interact with me. Let's do something. Because, like I said, me personally, I'm not making a lot of money doing this at all. I'm doing this for fun. And I'm doing it for the last month and a week full time. And I can see where it can be stressful. But you can't let that stress get to you. Let's see what he has to say in this second clip. This is the longer of the two clips.
There are obviously real jobs out there that are good comparisons. Service sector, people-pleasing jobs would be very similar. Those are like, I think, customer service type shit. But like if you're an accountant, or if you're even like in sales, my interactions with clients.
You, like I said, he's digging himself a hole. He shouldn't be comparing jobs. Each sector is going to be different. Doesn't matter.
Was limited.
Because even working retail, yeah, you had to make people happy. Yeah, you had to interact with them. But at the end of the day, man, like you got away. Now streaming, you can't really get away. You're in front of the camera. I mean, I could always hit the button. I can always do this. And you won't see me. But it's not as fun as sitting here like this. Because I'm going to try to have that interaction with you guys for you guys to see my reaction to stuff.
Way more limited than like constantly having to do this for 9 hours with like a back and forth interaction for 9 hours. That's what like sucks your social battery, and you just tap out after it. Yeah, think about it this way. Like, you give presentations for your job, right? Imagine giving a presentation for 9 hours straight. It's like, after a while, you would be like, I don't want to talk ever again. I call it like the dead zone. When I'm done streaming, I usually have like at least a refractory period of an hour where I just sit there and silently stare at my phone. The other thing, what do you call it? Like,
And that is another thing that is a very good point, and I don't like to do, and that is when I'm streaming, I don't like to be on the phone. I have, now granted, I'll have my phone sitting next to me, but I won't get on it. And I'll sit there, and if you guys didn't know, which some of y'all, if you watch my streams, you do know, my headset is actually connected to my phone. So if I get a phone call, it'll ring in my headset. Now, I have a handful of numbers that I have that are on the exempt list from the block, but for the most part, everything gets pumped through my headset. So if I get a text message, it'll tell me text message from dad, text message from mom, and let me know who's texting me. So most of the time, I ignore text messages. And on top of that, it doesn't help. My phone's like on do not disturb mode 90% of the time. And you can ask people that actually know me. Like, I love to text, but if you text me and it's something I don't want to talk to you about, you know I saw it. I ain't going to respond though. I for the most part, like if you're a friend of mine, I'll text you back. We'll have a good conversation. But like I said, if you text me something that I don't want to talk about, you know I saw it if you sent me the text. And I always tell people that, like, hey, like I'll like just text me. I'll get it. And I don't like talking on the phone either.
the other thing is, like, the one issue that I've brought up about Twitch streaming that's like very different than a real job, is that, like I said, you're always on. You have to always be on. There are so many private moments that you have to yourself in a real job, in a big boy job, right? Like, there are moments that you don't have to be on. When you're on camera, you have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
That definitely, like, even if you're doing customer service, there's like in between calls. You know, you can take your time, shit like that. When you're teaching, you have breaks in between classes. That's
Like I said, very, very bad comparisons right there. Because even as a teacher, yeah, you have breaks, but you're constantly trying to watch and interact with kids. I see. I'm not a teacher. You guys can correct me. When I worked retail, bro, it never fails. Like, I would be grabbing something, checking out, and walking to the break room with like whatever it was I was eating for lunch. And somebody would be like, "Excuse me, sir. There's nobody over here that could cut my meat. Can you help me?" I'll be like, "No." Like, it's just one of those things. Like, you just have to deal with like it, like being interrupted. You're constantly, no matter what you work in, like you're constantly going to have situations like that. And that's where I kind of disagree with him. I think that he, like I said, you can't really compare jobs. I'm sorry, I keep switching it, but he keeps moving the camera around.
the only that I would say is someone who's done like a real world job, a big boy job, and a fake job like this. That I think is like one of the biggest differences, and it just cooks you a little bit for sure. Bro, you're generalizing too much about jobs you've never done. Do you know how socially draining it is to work like most jobs? I'm just saying we can relate to your feeling a lot more than you seem to think. Lots of jobs are socially draining. Many of us are feeling all too well. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Yeah, dude, I'm saying Twitch streaming is actually way harder than any of your jobs. That's what I meant.
Right there, he's trolling, and of course, people are like, "Clip it, ship it."
I'm glad you can. I'm glad. And
And looking at him, he knows he's like,
real.
I'm cooked.
Sales, dumbass. I know what it's like. I had to fucking sit there. I know, it's awful. You have to literally, I'm telling you, yeah, it was draining my social battery nowhere near to the same degree as Twitch streaming. That's my point.
But I will say, if you watch the 4 to 5
All right, shut up, Jake. Let's go full screen. But yeah, like being somebody that's, like I said, worked blue collar, worked white collar, worked active duty military, and for the last month and a half been a full time streamer slash content creator. So weird saying that. Um, I I see some of his points, but at the same token, Hasan, just shut up. You don't have, like, he gave in to the trolls and the chat instead of just changing the subject altogether. I feel you can't compare jobs and you can't compare things because I'm telling you right now, I went to nursing school. I'm never going to be a nurse. I became an air traffic controller instead. And like right now, I making videos and stuff. And like I said, this was my hobby. And like when I was in between jobs, I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna go, head first in and make this work while I'm, not doing anything. And it's definitely it's very stressful. Much more stressful than I would say air traffic control is. People will be like, what? And it's all because I look at the analytics. And I do think it's funny how my analytics have kind of tapered down a little bit since I've been full time, but there's the ebb and flow of everything, and like it's just it happens, and you're gonna have to work around it, and you got to find things, and that's the thing when it comes to content creation is that you always have to find hot button like hot topics like discussions to talk about. Case in point, when Hassan says that streaming is harder than a real job, or that Tom Cruise says acting is harder than being a soldier in Afghanistan. Like there are people out there that have made it, and that they I feel kind of lost sight of where either A, they came from, or B, that, they are like, oh, my job is so hard. And mind you, I met Tom Cruise. He's a little fucker and he's an asshole. And everything went to his head, I feel like. And it's just one of those things. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, you can't compare jobs. You just can't. Because one of my ex-girlfriends was a nurse, and I compared my job to hers because I'm like, yo, I keep X amount of people safe an hour. And you do what? 1, 2 procedures, a day? Like, she got kind of mad at me. But that's when it dawned on me, you cannot compare jobs, period, end of story, because teachers' work is the Lord's work because they got patience for days. Like, let me tell you, I cannot work with kids all day. That would drive me up the damn wall. Nurses, doctors, they save people. They do the Lord's work as well. Something that I don't think I could personally do. And then of course you got, your guys that are active duty, you got guys that work retail, you got streamers. Everybody has something that they're going to do and something that they're good at. And you just got to find your niche and get in there. And don't try to discount people on their jobs just because you might view it as easy. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, you guys, y'all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to mash that like button. Comment down below. How do you feel about this topic? Do you think I'm right when it comes to like Hassan's take on this? Because like I said, I feel like that son of a bitch just started digging himself a hole, and instead of shutting up, he just kept going. And like I said, there was parts in it where I'm like, he can tell he's cooked right now, and he's just going to go with it. And he's very polarizing, which doesn't help in his situation. He, sometimes he has really good takes. Other times he doesn't have really good takes. That's just Hasan Piker for you. Anyways, you guys, don't forget to subscribe. We're on our way to 8,000 subscribers. Like I said, I can't do this job without you guys. You guys are awesome. And like, hey, stay positive, man. Because you guys are awesome. Like, I can't do this without y'all. Don't forget, subscriber games on Sunday. We do them at 2 p.m. For the month of March, as of right now. So Sundays, 2 p.m. we're going to do for the month of March. And just like I said, join the Discord. Subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. Till next time, you guys. Y'all take it easy. I'll catch you later.